Canelo Alvarez team said, what? African Americans present a difficult style? Real complicated, real complex. Oh, man. We about to talk about this. Please stay tuned to this video. Oh, whoa, yo, hold up. Not me. What up, Fight World? It's your boy, Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Well, the legend of Ego Stradamus continues to grow. Canelo had a presser for the Bevo fight. Didn't really hear many people talking about the actual fight itself, but the press conference took place. Eddie Reynoso had some things to say yesterday at that presser. You know, I went to IKEA. I was out and about, so I didn't really get a chance to talk about this. But a statement from Eddie Reynoso when asked about Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez was very, very alerting. And we'll get into that right now. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Literally, I'm the best in boxing history. Eddie Reynoso, what did he say, you ask? Sure, let me show you. And multiple people have captured this dialogue, so you guys could find the video. But shout out to ES News for the clip as well, and I'll put his link in the description. And you see the title of the video. Hold on, let me try to get it better for you guys. Boom. It says, quote, African American fighters difficult to fight. Eddie Reynoso on Valdez versus Stevenson. And I'll let you guys go check out the video for yourself. Now, the funny thing and the ironic thing with Eddie Reynoso saying that is that must be how he truly feels. Even though it's a generalization, because just like there is no Mexican style. I hate when people say Mexican style because Canelo definitely don't fight like an Orlando Salido. He has a lot of poise and he's Mexican, and so is Orlando Salido. So, you know, I'm not too keen on stereotypes and generalizations in general, but you know, for lack of a better word, sometimes there's certain generalizations that people kind of tend to get and agree with. So I'm not even mad that he said it, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't a negative thing. Like, you know, the times where you'll get into trouble more so, or when you say negative stereotypes, like when Abel Sanchez, for example, I remember he was actually fighting Canelo, and he had a fighter, Triple G. Hey, no guys had marks. Yeah, a big drama. Everybody now snuffing his punches and the right? And Abel Sanchez, on behalf of Team Triple G, made a comment that was definitely a stereotype, and it was a wrong stereotype. He said African Americans in general fight in a style that's basically boring / runner / wompty, and that becomes a harder product to sell. There's no real way to quantify that because James Kirkland, Canelo fought him and he went out on his shield. He don't fight like no runner. If anything, he running into Canelo's malicious shot. I was born ready. You know what I'm saying? So he don't fit that mold, and he's black, right? And we can do this all day. There's Deontay Wilder. Some people complain that they thought he needed more technique and pizzazz with, you know, his boxing fundamentals. Guys like Charlo, very aggressive, technical, but they also have inherent action styles as well. So what Abel Sanchez said was a negative connotation amongst black fighters. Eddie Reynoso, I don't think he said anything quote unquote wrong, because if anything, he's paying homage to black fighters, saying, yo, a lot of these black fighters, they have a complicated style, but at the end of the day, it's still a generalization. So moving on, with Eddie Reynoso saying this, it's looking bad for old media, because I have told you on my channel for quite some time that I am of the belief that Canelo's team has basically avoided certain styles when they could have fought him before bad performances, before losses, when it's adequate, when it makes the most sense, they have avoided certain styles, including African Americans like Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Booboo Andrade, because I truly believe those are American styles that have issue, that give Canelo issue. Win, lose, or draw, he would have issue with those. Those would be tougher fights. Even if it's not even about Canelo losing, even if Canelo wins, he would still have actual fights in his hand. And another American, not an African American, but American, is David Benavidez. I firmly believe these are some of the toughest fights for Canelo available. Whether he wins, whether he loses, I don't care. Tough fights. And the funny thing is, when I made these statements, especially when I said that about black fighters, you had old media that got in my comment section and they said, oh, Canelo, why would he duck Charlo? He sucks. And, you know, he'll chop up Charlo and destroy him. Okay, why not fight? Do all that. Show me all that. I'll pay for it. Beat Charlo, whoop him, you know, get past his jab, instead of fighting a million Eastern European, fair-skinned Caucasian fighters only, back to back to back to back, and Turkish fighters and stuff like that. Show me. Go against these American styles. And that's the reality. Canelo is not really doing that, at least to me, because I wouldn't be talking about Canelo fighting the same people that he continues to not have fought for several years. So you would think that the great Ego Stradamus, when I made these comments, listen, trust me, I got a lot of support. A lot of people understood what I was saying, but there were some detractors that said, inconceivable. This is impossible that Canelo would avoid certain styles. And they, in a full defense mechanism, they got angry and they couldn't understand why I would say what I said. But Canelo, you would think that if Canelo's team agreed with you, if you disagree with what I said about Canelo not fighting African-American fighters and American tough styles. I get Caleb Plant is an American, but he also he's not known for incredulous power, versus David Benavidez is an American style with power. So that does matter, because Canelo has showed a beard. He could take a shot. Guys like Jermall Charlo, American style with power. Demetrius Andrade has sneaky power as well, et cetera, et cetera. So you would think that if all of what I have said about Canelo Alvarez was wrong, that statements like this wouldn't be made from Team Canelo. So if Eddie Reynoso is going to say African-American fighters are difficult to fight and make a generalization regarding Shakur Stevenson versus Valdez, and basically have a stereotype or a generalization to a race of people or a certain group of people, and I want to stress this, not in a negative connotation. You're actually giving props to black fighters, saying, hey, they make for some tricky styles, right? So I'm not even mad at that. But if you're going to make that generalization, why would it only apply to Shakur Stevenson versus Valdez? If you feel like this and this is how you think, then that means you think like that about even your cash cow, Canelo Alvarez. You see what I'm saying? That's like me saying New York has the best pizza. You know, California has some good pizza spots. Chicago, Detroit have good pizza spots. But if I'm going to make a generalized statement and say New York has the best pizza, then that's what my mind believes. My mind believes New York pizza tops different pizza. So I'm not saying that black fighters are the best, because I'm not making the statement. But if he's going to generalize and say African-American styles are difficult to contend with in regards to Oscar Valdez, his fighter, fighting Shakur Stevenson, then how would he not believe that for Canelo or Andy Ruiz versus those same styles? That's what you believe. And it's ironic because I talked about this and people acted like they couldn't understand it. And, you know, Team Canelo would never avoid any style or be hesitant or more inclined to fight other styles. In fact, I'm going to double it. After I've said this for years before anybody, because I'm Ego Stradamus, but after me, I distinctly remember another top-rated pound-for-pound guy, Terence Bud Crawford, and this is what he said. Shazam! He says one of America's best boxers, Terence Crawford, says that Saul Canelo Alvarez avoids black fighters. And in addition to me saying this, this is what Crawford said. He said he believes Canelo has ducked fades with black fighters, presumably jermall, Charlo, Demetrius, Booboo, Andrade, probably the highest, most well-known documented cases, becoming franchise champion, saying Demetrius Andrade, horrible fighter. I'll never fight you, you're horrible. But fighting lesser guys than Andrade, like Yildirim and Amir Khan. Put Amir Khan and Demetrius Andrade in the ring, and you will see a massacre. But the only one of those guys Canelo has fought, and that's Amir Khan, another British fighter. So when Crawford said this, I made videos, just like I do with all hot topics. I made videos, and all the Canelo fans, the Canelo man fans at least, got mega mad, and they're like, oh, Crawford doesn't know what he's talking about, he's hating. Fast forward to the future, you would think if Ego and Crawford and people who have suggested this, that Canelo hasn't mixed it up with prime black fighters since the Mayweather loss and things like that, years later, why would this come out? Which is basically, this supports what we've been saying, me, Crawford, and anyone else who believes that, more than it supports the argument Canelo man fans made. They said, nah, Canelo's down to fight anybody, he don't care. So why is Team Canelo saying and admitting finally that African-American styles are difficult to deal with? That's why they choose to fight, Caucasian fighter after Caucasian fighter, and or certain styles with guys with marginal power, like Caleb Plant, good fighter, but marginal power, guys with slower twitch muscle styles, not explosive, not mega punchers, and things like that. Clever matchmaking, as I like to call it. So this really just proves what I've always been saying about Canelo. Canelo, in addition to African-American fighters, is also on record saying that he don't want to fight people who bear the same flag, meaning Hispanic Mexican fighters as well. So these between Mexican fighters and black fighters in or around his division, these are some of the most prominent fighters in those respective divisions historically. You can find historically great like Hispanic or Mexican fighters in or around those divisions, and black fighters. This has been the case. So if Canelo's not fighting certain fighters like black fighters, which his team is now on record saying that's a complex, complicated style, and admitting that, and he doesn't want to fight Mexican fighters, or at least that's what he said, then who is he trying to fight? Oh yeah, that's right. Russian, Eastern European, Turkish, British fighters, which is what has represented majority of his recent fights. Period. Checkmate. Best in the business. Subscribe. And I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.